to Mindful Eating Community with Glenda.
And I'm Brett,
And I am an intuitive eater.
and I'm a calorie counter.
That's right. And so we are here on our weekly live and we're just checking in to see how we're doing. And today we're going to talk about mindful eating and the mindset shift that had to take place for us to become mindful eater and individually address our nutritional needs, likes, and our wants. So we just want to just check in, and I would like to know, Brett, first, how was your week this past week?
So it was the holiday weekend, and I did eat a lot Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I did keep up my gym routine.
Mhm.
But I was kind of shocked Monday morning that I was only up 1 pound over the week.
Mhm.
Although today the scale is reflecting a couple more pounds, so
Mhm.
maybe it took a little time to catch up. And I did take a day off from the gym yesterday, gave my body a little break, but planning on going tonight. So overall, not bad. Still sticking to the mindful eating boundaries, calorie counting. So in that regards, my week went well. How about yours?
Good. My week went well. I did the I'm still doing 2 meals a day. So I have like sometimes breakfast, sometimes brunch. Here, I don't at home, I do brunch. Here, sometimes I do breakfast because of the schedule and some work that I do here that I don't necessarily do at home. And then I'm having dinner, and sometimes I'm having dinner a little bit later than I want to. But then I have my breakfast a little bit later. I still try to give my body about 12 hours rest between my meals, my last meal of the day and the next meal in the morning. So I do plan a little bit ahead. If I know I'm going to have breakfast earlier than I normally would, then I try to have my last meal earlier. So like 3, 4 o'clock, because I know then by 6, 7 in the morning I might have my breakfast. So that's good. I have 4 hours in between my meals that I don't eat in the day, which is a big deal because for people who,
Welcome those joining us, and
yes,
let
welcome,
us
come on
know in the
in.
comments what food win or challenge you had this week. We'd love to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, so one of my challenges that I had was because of the time of the month, I was craving chocolate, but I did have it. And actually, one of the days, chocolate was my dinner. Like literally, I had a chocolate egg that was given to me, one of those
Nice.
hollow eggs they have in UK, and I just ate the whole thing. And I was like, okay, I'm so stuffed. I don't even want to eat any dinner tonight. And I didn't have dinner. And I actually was done around 4 in the afternoon, and I ended up just having an earlier breakfast, hearty breakfast, English breakfast the next day. So welcome, come on in. Let us know if there is a food challenge that you have, a food that you have a challenge with, or a win that you have had. Let us know how your mindful eating is. So we're
Yeah,
just sharing an
so
update. Mhm.
typically, I usually skip breakfast and have a
Hello.
smallish lunch and a big dinner because of my calorie counting. My challenge is that because I've had to go back into the office so many days, I want to have breakfast when I'm there. So I've been having a breakfast and I've been having a lunch. So I've had to have smaller dinners than I'm used to. And that's been a challenge for me. But I have been going to the gym in case I eat extra. So that's been my
Yeah.
big challenge, is switching up and
Yeah,
having.
yeah. Hi, Luisa. This is about mindful eating. We are taking control of our mind and our bodies, and we are not dieting. We are just being mindful about what we eat and when we eat it. And I just hit something here. Go ahead, Brett, talk, because I just hit something here.
Yeah, so this week we're talking about, it's more than food control. It's
Yeah,
shifting your mindset. And so Glenda and I eat very differently. I count calories, but I eat all kinds of processed food and other things. She sticks to whole foods,
yeah,
high protein, high fat, low
yeah.
carb. And so what's made us successful in this mindful eating journey is finding what works individually. And that's what we're encouraging you guys to do is
Yes.
go ahead, Glenda.
Yes, I was going to say that we are husband and wife. Brett is in Florida, and I am in England because our daughter is having a baby. And I am on my mom's account, so I'm a boy, and my name is Daniel. Hi, Daniel. So you want to eat healthy, Daniel? Okay, you want to be mindful about what you eat so you can be a strong boy. So we are at different countries, but we do generally weekly live when we're together. And here, because of technology, we're able to be live. We have a second channel. Brett is on our second channel called Influence for Purpose, which we pray there weekly on Fridays if you want to join us. So today we're going to focus on mindset shift and how it's not about food control, like you were saying, right, Brett?
Yep.
It's about renewal. It's about thought renewal. And I have some notes, and that's why I'm looking down. Um, and we want to share three things, basically, that we, want to use to start addressing our mindset when it comes to our mindful eating and when it comes to nutrition and food. And so the first one is why you don't need more willpower. Many people say, I need willpower to be able to, I can't do this. I just have no willpower. It's not about willpower. You don't need more willpower. What you need is more awareness. And I want to share a scientific research. It shows that willpower is a limited resource, but awareness, when you become aware, you activate the prefrontal cortex, where reasoning and wise decision make things happen. And
I
so
love it.
there is willpower means like, oh, I can do it on my own, or I cannot do it on my own. That's what willpower is. Meaning you sometimes it can be motivation. I'm not motivated, or I have motivation. It's not about willpower. It's not about the strength that you have, because you may not have the strength to do something. You're welcome. Something that you don't want to do. But what you can do is you can make up your mind that you are going to renew your thoughts. You can do this. You can take control of what you eat. And a biblical perspective that we want to share is that Romans 12:2 says that transformation happens when we renew our mind. So it's not about straining, and it's not about you having the willpower or the strength to do something, but because it is not in our own strength. But when you renew your thinking, then you can have the awareness to know what's good and what's bad for you when it comes to food.
I love that you did this because, you're even almost correcting some of the stuff we've said previously in a sense, because we do say that we work on our self control, but you doing this research and talking about awareness rather than willpower makes me realize that my success came from understanding that I was emotionally eating. So
Hmm.
my willpower, my I would give in to all the sweets, but once I understood that why am I giving into them, it's because I'm emotionally eating. That gave me the awareness to stop losing the willpower battle. So I love that topic and that.
Exactly, exactly. And this can apply for many other things. It might not be food, it might not just be food. It can be any kind of other addiction, anything that you feel like you have no control over. So, but when it comes to food, one of the things that we also want to address is, before you go for food, you want to ask yourself, are you full or are you fed up? And sometimes it's not just about being fed up. Are you turning to food for celebration, for comfort, to as a way to address your needs. So there is a scientific perspective that says mindless eating often masks unmet emotional needs, and oftentimes we're eating out of loneliness, we're stressed or boredom. We say, oh, I want to eat this, I want to eat that. Yes, Luisa, I speak English, but I mean, sí, yo hablo español, pero aquí hablamos solamente inglés. Pero si necesitas hablar conmigo, te puedes comunicar por correo electrónico. Um, we are sometimes we're just like sometimes at night we're just like, oh, what do you want to eat? You want to eat something, and we don't even check with ourselves to see if we're hungry. So, okay, Luisa. So and the Bible tells us, that only God can satisfy our souls. Sometimes, like I used to do this. I don't know, Brett, if you ever struggle with this, but I used to binge eat, and then I would make myself throw up. Bye,
Oh,
Luisa. Um, Sometimes I would make myself eat and then, throw up. And, I was trying to eat and satisfy something inside of me that only God can fulfill. And when I really got down to it and I was like, God, what am I hungry for? then he started to give me, I was tell me I was hungry for purpose. So the Bible tells us in Matthew 5:6 that blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. We have to hunger for God's righteousness, not hunger for food, not want more food, more of what we can see and the things of this earth. When we hunger for what God has for us, then that can transform and we won't be hungry for food. Like now, I'm so hungry for God. I'm so hungry to fulfill his purpose that I don't find myself turning to food to satisfy my flesh. And because we're fasting once a month on the 25th day of every single month, which is going to be this Friday, that is helping me even see beyond. Sometimes I'm hungry when I know I'm not really hungry, or I can wait to eat, or I don't have to have a specific food. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So your second topic, just to clarify, was are you full or are you fed up? And that led
Yeah.
to you talking about, finding that purpose as opposed to just turning to the instant gratification for food. And the topic number three, which is similar to what I said about topic one, which is the problem isn't what you're eating, it's what's eating at you. I
Hmm.
had an emotional eating problem, and the scientific perspective is that emotional distress can trigger those cortisol driven cravings, often leading to stress eating. So I was
Hmm.
stress eating, emotional eating. And the Bible tells us, or God calls us, to cast our cares on Him in First Peter 5:7,
Hmm.
not to cope through food.
Hmm.
That He is the bread of life. And so, really, when I started dealing with my emotions in a healthier way, finding healthier outlets, talking to you, my wife, talking to a counselor, talking to friends,
Yeah.
um, talking to God in prayer, like dealing with my emotions in a healthy way allowed me to stop turning to food every time I was looking for an emotional escape.
Right, exactly. I don't know if anyone understands this, if they have gone through any of this. Let us know in the comment. Let us know below if you have struggled with emotional eating, if you have eaten just because you were sad or bored or
Totally.
lonely. If you are like me, there were moments where I was just alone and stuffing my face. Maybe I used to say things like, I have no strength. I can't do this on my own. And I would turn to diet pills or all kinds of different diets. And I even tried like the shot to lose weight and all that stuff. And I was just thinking, this is not sustainable. I can't do this for the rest of my life. I have to exercise self control, but I couldn't do that on my own. I had to turn to God to help me. So let us know if you struggle with food, with overeating, if you feel like you cannot handle it on your own, let us know. And why is this important, right? Why are we sharing the scientific and the spiritual benefits of it? Well, because for health benefits, right? We're getting older, not younger, and what we put in our mouth is going to reflect in our bodies. And so eating healthy can improve our digestion by, being mindful about what we eat and slowing down instead of just binging and overeating, instead of having just a portion size of your chips, eating the whole bag. And we get this from all sources like social media. I'm sorry, media, right? Tells us you can just have one, and they encourage you to eat a whole bag of chips instead of just eating one chip, right? You can just have one, is what they say. So, this is important because nobody's going to tell us, there is no diet in the world that's going to tell you that you have to exercise the self control, that you have to be the one to be aware, that you have to be the one to put in the work, because anyone can tell you this is what you have to eat, but only you can say, this is how much of this I can eat. Or only you can find out, is this really food really good for me? Only you can do that. And so, another reason, right? It helps regulate blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. Why do you want to
Yeah.
regulate that? Because if you don't regulate it, you're just going to continue to crave more foods. The more you eat, the more food you want to eat.
Well,
So,
the more
yeah.
overweight we get, the more susceptible we are to disease in the body that's related to our blood sugar, our insulin, these other areas. Definitely one of the reasons that I wanted to lose a lot of weight, because I do like sugary things and stuff,
Hmm.
is get a hold of my food addiction. I think I was addicted to food. Like a lot of us use food as a drug. I was addicted and didn't think I could fast and didn't think I could limit my portion size or even go a day without sweets and things like that. So that was really important of why this matters, that we're being mindful about what we're eating. Support our weight as well
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
you know restrictive dieting is not something you and I talk about, but healthy boundaries with
Right.
ourselves and
Right.
what we ourself want to stay away from because it serves our needs and goals, not because a diet says don't eat this food.
Exactly. What we wanna do is reduce how much we eat and emotional eating and mindless eating, right? We want to be mindful. That's why we call it mindful eating. We want to build a healthy relationship with food. So we're not scared of food, but we're also not scared about what food can do to us and how, we eat too much sugar, you can get diabetes. You eat too much fat, you can get cholesterol. And although fat doesn't exactly cause cholesterol, but like the different things that you can eat that can affect your health. So we want to build a long-term healthy relationship with food. That's why I embarked on this journey a few years ago. And 2 years I've been eating one way, and then Brett joined in. And then, he's been doing this for over a year now, right? Over a year and
Yeah.
a half, close to 2 years. So maybe I'm more like three, and so that's what we want. Brett was able to find what works for him through calorie counting. I don't calorie count, but I am very intuitive. So we want to increase that awareness. Brett is more intuitive than he gives himself credit for, because he realized he needed to track the calories for him to not overeat, right, Brett?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always thought, 3 meals a day plus snacks. But recently, when I wasn't hungry, I skipped a meal. And
Hmm.
sometimes lately, instead of turning to the normal foods I would reach for, I'm trying to choose healthier choices for my calories, some heart healthy nuts and things recently instead of maybe chips or something, because, just to make sure that my cholesterol and things are in a good place. I've definitely decreased the stress related inflammation and things in my body. My body
Hmm.
is
Me too.
much less inflamed. On this journey, my waist has dropped 6 inches plus off my
Hmm.
waist. It's been crazy transformation. More than 50 pounds now total, like a lot
Hmm.
of um, things, even though I'm still eating sweets and things like that, I'm not totally restricting those. I just am portion controlling and things like that. So,
Right. Right. And so these are the physical benefits, right? But the spiritual benefits is that when we renew our mind, we bring our food choices to God. And we're going to gain a lot from that. When we invite God to the table with us, we get peace, right? We have peace in what we eat. Then we have freedom from guilt. We don't feel like, so many times I would feel guilty, right, Brett? You remember how many times I would feel guilty after I would eat something, and I would tell you, "Oh my
yeah,
God, I shouldn't have done that." And then I would just, cry out to you and tell you how bad I felt for overeating and for,
shame.
shame, being ashamed. So when you are mindful about what you're eating, you have peace. And that's just something that cannot be taken away from you. You have freedom from guilt. You break cycles. You break
Yeah,
those cycles of defeat. Man, I'm so happy that I broke those cycles of defeat. Like I used to feel so defeated, exercising on self-control, going to the refrigerator when I wasn't hungry, and just, or when I was bored or lonely or stressed, and now it's like, okay, wait a minute. Am I lonely, bored, stressed, or whatever? Let me go to God. Let me pray about this. How can I handle this? Is there something practical I can do? Do I need to do the work that I need to do that maybe I'm procrastinating or whatever? And so, doing this also develops the fruit of the spirit, of self control, of patience, of joy, because now I don't necessarily feel ashamed or guilty because I just eat, eat, eat without self control.
yeah.
Now, yeah.
Mindful eating, if you're trying to diet without mindful eating, you're almost setting yourself up for failure because
Hmm.
diets are restrictive and inevitably
Hmm.
you're going to slip up and then you fall into that guilt shame cycle and maybe quit the dieting altogether. Whereas
Exactly.
mindful eating, you are making conscious choices that serve you, that are sustainable, that is a lifestyle that you can keep up with. And if you, uh, slip up or have something, that isn't your normal routine, it's no big deal. You get right
Mhm.
back into your
Mhm.
routine that serves you, and there is no guilt shame cycle, and you do have that peace and that joy and that confidence. And like we always say, it's not about perfection, it's about progress, but a
Mhm.
peaceful progress, not one out of guilt shame.
Exactly. And I definitely, ever since I've been eating, being mindful about what I'm eating, I am much more confident. Like ever since I've been here, I have established what my boundaries are. And people here eat at different times and eat whatever. And they're not, it's not that they're eating wrong. It's just that I have to keep my boundaries in place to make sure that I don't fall into old patterns or habits. And everyone has been so respectful. Like it's almost, hi, Luisa, hola. They have been so respectful about they have been so respectful about how I eat and honoring. And one of the things that I notice as a mindful eater, right, that one of the questions that we have had is, how do you say you're not going to eat late, or I just do. I just say it. I don't eat late. I eat early. I don't eat this. I eat that. We had an event here, and people ask if there's any dietary restrictions, and someone said no bread. And I wouldn't even say that, but I was like, you know what? I don't necessarily eat bread because of, what it can do to me. It makes me want to eat more. So I just love how people here establish their boundaries. They live by their boundaries. So I'm like, why do I cannot, or why can I not live by the boundaries I've established? So, I'm going through, well, and that's making me walk in confidence.
Yep.
So, like you said, Brett, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. So, anyways, let us know if you struggle with food or a particular food, like anything that it's your weakness. But also, if you don't have a problem with food and you are just here because you are doing really good and you want to share your wins, please feel free to share, your progress and how you do, so that others can learn from it. So,
Well, let's
um,
challenge our viewers with a call to action. What is
yeah,
the challenge question this week that we would pose to them?
yeah,
It would be, what would you change if you asked why before you ate? So start
yeah,
asking the why when you go to reach for
yeah,
food,
yeah,
and ask yourself, why are you about to eat something, and what is
right,
it that you're about to eat, and
yeah,
see how that might change
yeah.
during the week.
Exactly, exactly. And so another challenge that we want to pose to you guys is fast with us. What is something you think you cannot absolutely live without? Okay, I
For
used to
one day.
say for one day, I used to say I cannot live without coffee. Oh no, I have to have coffee, 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 and the word, every morning. And now I'm going on, is it 2 weeks without coffee? Um, One day I did fast from coffee because I challenged myself, but then the doctor told me I should not drink coffee because it raises my cortisol levels. And so it's having negative effects. So I want to say I didn't fully quit coffee. I quit the 5 cups of coffee I was having a day, and I just have 2 to 3 mushroom coffees, and then I have chai tea. So I have some caffeine. But we want to challenge you. What is something that you can fast from? One food group. Maybe you want to fast from breads, or maybe you decide for one day I'm not going to have dessert, or maybe you say for one day I am not going to chew any food. I am just going to drink maybe a healthy smoothie or a healthy juice or water only. Or maybe you say, I always have to have breakfast. Well, I'm not going to eat breakfast for this one day. And this is going to happen on Friday, this Friday, the 25th, and the 25th of every month. We are going to fast one thing. So we invite you to join to the fasting with us. And then we also want to encourage you to join us on our mindful eating Zoom webinar that we're having next Thursday, where we're going to go deeper on nutritional boundaries. We have talked about nutritional boundaries in the
We
past, but
have, and
we're
this is
going to
going to
go
be a
deeper.
deeper dive.
Mhm.
And yeah, our Zoominars are also free, and we do it the first Thursday of every
Mhm.
month. This month it happens to fall on May 1st, which is the Thursday. So
Mhm.
yeah, join us, and look out for that invite. And if you're not already in our Facebook group, send a request to join our Facebook group too.
Yeah, the link for access to that is below. Also, we have, the questions on a free digital journal that you can, those are prompting questions that you can ask yourself before you eat. So they are free in the digital journal, and you can access all of that below. So if that's something you're interested, please go ahead and join us. But now, before we go, Brett, will you do us the honor and pray for our community to make sure we can overcome mindless eating?
Yeah, absolutely. God, we just thank you so much for this community that we are here to encourage each other, to lift each other up, and to seek you for wisdom and guidance and just being the best version of ourselves that you created us to be. Any areas of our life that we are not in good nutrition or good health that we can improve, we're asking for you to help us, to give us those tools, those resources, that wisdom, the ability to make those changes so that we can be free from food addiction, from mindless eating, from overeating, from disease in our body caused from those things. That you restore us to health and wellness so that we are full of energy, full of good rest, full of joy, peace. As we live out our daily life, and not to be so preoccupied with food on our mind constantly, that we can free up that mental space to um, be following you and knowing what our plans and purpose are that you have for us.
Mhm.
And so we just continue to ask that you be with us and leading us in this group and in this community, and that you continue to give us wisdom and, of course, your love, mercy, and grace. And we pray all this in your precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Wonderful. God bless you guys. We look forward to seeing you around next time, next week about this time. Bye.
Bye.